Honey Dash.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the date? Don likes us to date it.
March 3rd.
March 3rd, 1985. Oh. Okay. This is basically sequence 5. And as I was telling Cosmo earlier, these were broken up into sequences 6 months ago for typing purposes, not exactly sequence-wise. So it's a long sequence, and as you'll notice, it picks right up. It's basically part of what we've already done a little bit of. We've had Huck trying to fly, falls out of the tree, splash, and then Old Mud stands there without blinking an eye and says, "Morning, Huck," and he walks out of the shot. But then we go to a close-up of Huck coming up out of the water with a big smile on his face. We see Mud walking away. His point of view is Mud walking away. His expression changes because the thought hits him, did I make him mad? You know. We go to a wide shot of him getting out of the water and running over to Mud. And as he gets up there, he's saying, "You're not mad, are you, Mud?" And Mud turns, "Oh, of course not, boy. I just ain't woke up yet, you know." Then you hear off camera, you hear, "Good morning, Huck and Honey. Morning, Mud." You know, it's Beulah, and he says, "Now I'm mad." You know, you can tell there's a little bit of tension between them. They love each other, but there's a little tension. Then a shot of Beulah coming 90 miles an hour, great big, and her arms wide open. "Good morning." You know, she's a real happy character. Missy's aware of the little bit of tension that's between these two characters. She sees this coming. She looks at Mud. She smiles. Says, "Good morning, Mud." And Mud says, "Morning, Missy." Looks at Beulah. Beulah. And then here they are, this foursome here. And Huck goes across, gives Missy a big kiss, and says, "Hiya, Missy," and starts her swing. And she's hanging by her tail here. Starts her swing, and she laughs. He goes, "That child," you know. And he goes, "Hiya, Beulah," and he tackles her about midsection. And Beulah says, "Oh, easy, honey. What do you think I am?" And he says, "Oh, you're a Beulah." She thinks that's funny. He's so cute. He goes, "And what are you today?" And he says, "Oh, I'm a Belvedere." He goes, "Watch." And he runs over, back to the river, gets on a rock, gets his wings going again, jumps, splash into the water. Go back to the three of them. Mud thinks that's cute. He looks over at Beulah, who thinks whatever Huck does is cute. They both smile at each other. He looks over at Missy, who's got a terrible, grouchy look on her face, and kind of goes, "Whoa, what's wrong?" She starts with her usual speech. You can tell this is lecture number 587. She goes, "Well, there he goes again, you know." Oh, no, wait. First, Belvedere flies through this shot. He goes, "That away, Huck, wait a minute," you know. And Huck goes, "Did I fly, Belvedere? Did I fly?" He goes, "Oh, hey, you were up there, kid. You were really up there, you know." And then Missy starts into her speech. "Well, there you go again. He's getting worse every day." Beulah says, "What? And he goes, Mud says, "Oh, for goodness sakes, Missy, he's just having fun." Beulah says, What? Because he still doesn't know what he is. Beulah, who? Mud says, "He doesn't need to yet." Beulah goes, who? Missy says, "Well, I still say it's time he went back to his own kind." Beulah, who? And they both turn in anger and go, "Huck!" And she reacts with, "What? Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? He belongs here with us." And Missy's saying, "Oh, you're no help at all." And Mud starts to walk away, and Beulah's still talking. She's saying, "What are you trying to get rid of our kid for?" And Mud, it's a little mean thing that he does. Because she doesn't love him, that's why. He knows better, but he says it anyway. This really ticks Missy off. She gets up from her tail, runs over, comes right up into his face and says, "That's not true, and you know it, Mud." And this stops him, and he goes, "You're right, I know it." She says, "And I'm right about Huck, too." That he won't admit to. He goes, and he starts walking away. Because he doesn't want to handle the situation yet. So he's walking away, and they're coming after him. And she says, "You know, you always said that you were going to tell him who he was and where he came from. Are you going to do it or not?" He thinks for a second, and he stops walking, and he says, "Yes." And this makes her smile. She thinks she's done it. And he goes, "Someday." And he starts walking away. At this point, a song starts. And it's a real cute song. Each character has a part in it. Missy starts it off, and hers is very fast and needly. And the lines are basically, she starts off slow, and she's trying to make a soft point here. And she's saying, you can't keep on keeping the truth from that human. And he keeps walking away. and you can't stop a youngin' from growing. Maybe you'd rather he never learned nothing, but the river ain't gonna stop flowing. And he's getting sarcastic here at this point. He goes, that's true. The river ain't gonna stop flowing. And she's smiling. She thinks he's got it. He goes, the river's always been flowing. The river's been good to me. Why, I remember. And, he's getting off the point. She comes in with the chorus, basically, of her song. And it's, what are you going to do about Huck Mud? What mud? What are you going to do about Huck Wind? And it's real fast. What are you going to do about Huck Mud? What mud? Just the type of thing that you don't want to hear about a subject that you don't want to hear about. It's a real, just really coming at you. So basically, through this song, she's doing that patter at him, and he's sort of walking this way, trying to get away. She comes to a pause where he goes, are you going to tell him he's one of them men? And he goes, he's really irritated at this point. He stops. She goes, are you going to tell him he's one of them men? He stops, and he looks at her and goes, yes. When it's time! And then he goes on. Then they go back into the song, and he's doing lines now. While she's singing, he's doing lines like, I'm not listening, can't hear a word you're saying, lighting his pipe, and he's just sort of ignoring her. The song continues over to the river where he sits down to relax. And she has a line of dialogue here in the middle of the song, which is, Mud, we all love Huck, but he has a right to know where he came from. Mud, this really gets to him. He goes, but what if he wants to leave? And she says, well, that should be his decision. And then popping up out of the water comes Beulah with her usual line, what? Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? She goes, I can't believe what you two are plotting. She comes over and she grabs Mud and flips him into the water because she knows Missy won't follow into the water. Flips into the water with the line, you two are going way overboard with this. Then her part of the song comes in, and it's a slower, like, and she's a real easygoing character. And her first few lines here are, some folks spend a lifetime, as she's throwing him into the water, we see him, the current caught him, and he's starting to fight against the current now, swimming against the flow. And then she looks down at him, and she lays down in front of him, and she's but running head on into things gets difficult, As she lays down in front of him, she cuts off the current, and he plows into her, And he looks up at her with a grouchy look. Then she's floating around, she's saying lines like, I take it easy, and go with the flow and stuff. And she grabs his tail as she's going by and just sort of pulls him down the river as they're flowing down the river. Then Missy has a line of dialogue over the music where she's chasing, going, Mark, you come back here, we're not done talking, She goes back. We go to a wide shot of them floating by. He grabs a branch eventually and gets up out of the water. Beulah comes up behind him. At one point, this line, he's doing fine, discovering what life is on his own. Missy comes back with a, ha! Then she really starts getting to him where she says, besides, if you go poking funny things in his mind, he'll get the urge to wander off and you'll be left behind. Well, while she's singing those lines, Huck runs into the scene, grabs Mud, and dances one loop with him, and then runs off into the distance. So it basically almost acts out what the line is. And he's standing there alone. He kind of gives a sigh. She says, when you'll be left behind. Immediately, Missy comes back in with, what are you going to do about Huck Mud? What mud? She's back into that. And he's walking away. He can't take it. Now, this is the two of them singing their stuff together. It's a
counter melodies against one another, a counterpoint. They have two different songs, but they fit together.
Good. Thank you.
Musical expert.
Dennis Fox from New York. Okay. Now, he's listening to all this, and he's really getting fed up. He's had it at this point. He starts to walk away, and he goes into his part of the song. And he's my young'un, like my son, and his learning's just begun. Basically, he goes into his number. Then, at this point, when he finishes he basically finishes with, let me handle this my way. She turns him around and puts her arm around him, faces Beulah, and says a camaraderie type statement. We've got to be doing this. Basically, she's saying, we're doing this now, you stay out of our way. Beulah doesn't go for that. She comes over, flips around, puts her arm around him, and basically says, we know what's best for the boy, and blah, 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 blah. Okay. And she's basically saying that would be a painful thing to do, that would hurt and everything. And now they've worked up to the front door of his house. And this is where all three of them wind up getting into the song. They all three sing their solos, and they go together and make music. Also, there's a little bit of a gag in here that when they sing their number, their solos together, you hear dominant words in it, and basically it comes out, it's not a big deal, we don't mean it, just forget what we're saying. You know, I don't know the exact, because I didn't write the song, but it just basically comes out to saying, ignore everything we've told you in this scene, you know. And he sings his number 2, and listen, he kind of hears that going on, and he's standing at the door, and he goes, good, I'm glad we settled that, and shuts the door. And they're left standing there staring at each other going, what happened, you know. We cut to the inside, the door's point of view, him going down into his house, and you hear off-screen a loud bang, you know, he jumps, he turns around, and he goes, ah! He looks, and here's Beulah trying to get in his front door. Now, we didn't have a size chart at this point, but we want her much bigger than this. It's just no way she could get in there. And she's trying to get in there, you know. He just, you know, goes, you told her, Mud, you're right. We'll keep Huck here, you know. And he says, get out of my door. You know, I told you 1,000 times you can't fit in my house. And she's just going right on. You did a good job. You told her, you know. And now he's got his cane and he's pushing her out. Get out of here. I told you before, only Missy can fit in here. And Missy squeezes right through. He goes, thank you for the invitation, Mud, because she's going to continue this, you know. And he sees her going by, gives her a really dirty look. One last shove gets Beulah out the door, and he slams the door. Now, he doesn't take his eyes off her from the time he slams the door till he's heading into his living room. He's really ticked. He's walking by, keeps his eyes on her. He starts down the steps, but he misses a step. He disappears out of the shot, falls all the way down through the living room, winds up in his easy chair, and is the type of thing, well, I meant to do that. So he just reaches for a book and starts to read. You know, so it happens every day. You know, I meant to do that. Got an outside shot of Beulah running around the house trying to figure out how she can get into this conversation with this little teeny house, you know. And she comes, then Missy comes walking down the stairs and says, since you learned to read, you've been awful uppity. Can't listen to what we say about Huck anymore. He goes, that's because you're talking about sending them away. Beulah comes busting in the window behind the chair. Says, listen to me, I won't send them away. This gets Missy really mad. She walks over, slams the window shut as she's saying her line, pulls the curtain. She goes, I'm not talking about sending him away. I'm talking about giving him a choice. Huck needs to know about, and then we go to another outside shot while she's showing Beulah going to another location. He needs to know about what he is and make up his own choice. Meanwhile, Mud is heading upstairs, and now he's going way upstairs to his bedroom. And she's still talking. And he gets up here and he comes in with his lines. He's happy here. He's up in his bedroom now. There's Beulah trying to look up there. He goes, I raised that boy from a pup. Did my best to raise him right. This is his home. By that line, he's standing right in front of where Huck sleeps. And his thought, he doesn't say this, but his thought line is, come to think of it, and he turns around, pulls the curtain open, and goes, he's got his own place to sleep here. We go to a shot of her, total shock as she looks at this place. And we look at it, it's a total mess. He looks at her reaction, looks in there, sees the mess, pulls the curtains closed, and, you know, and starts walking back down the stairs. Here we see Beulah outside going for her next position. She goes running around. He comes down, and we know that she's heading for this door. He comes down, he's going right by the door. And the door comes flying open and just misses him. You don't get the gag. You don't get the thing. You get it. Just missed it, you know. She goes, Missy is still talking. He needs human schooling. And Beulah, like this, he goes, what, are you crazy? She says, what? Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? And he gives her the dirtiest look, and she goes, too big, right, shorts. And she shuts the door. she got the message without him even saying anything, you know. So she just slams the door. He took care of that one with a stare, and then she sort of stands out there going, you know. He said he heads down the stairs again. He needs human teaching. He cuts her off and says, I can teach them all about humans. I've studied them for years. They're mean and greedy and wasteful, and they hate animals. And she says, all humans can't be that way. And he goes, ha! And here's Beulah in another window. You got that right. She says, Huck ain't that way. Mud says, that's because I raised him that way. Beulah, me too. And you've done a good job. She's taking a different angle now. And you've done a good job. But but there's a lot more you can't teach him. He's just basically doing housework. He's putting wood in the stove now. He's going to try some soup up here. But if he wants to learn about his own kind, he needs to be with his own kind. Mud says, you don't want to know about his own kind. He's trying the soup. That's because he don't know what he is. He looks up and goes, right. And then he starts to walk by her again. And but he's trying to find out what he is. Beulah comes in, tell him he's an alligator. He gives her a dirty look. She goes, okay, a turtle then. You know. Then they go on. He goes, ooh, that does it. He goes, that does it. He's heading up for his bedroom again. He goes, you two don't know what you're talking about any more than I do. He goes, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, huh? He goes, that does it. I ain't going to hear anymore. And she's still yelling at him. He goes up to his bedroom and slams the hatch and puts the bolt. And she's going, Mud, you listen to me. I'm talking to you, you know. He looks at the door and realizes, that's pretty good, you know. Walks over to his hammock, just jumps in, relaxes, and he looks over with a very pleasant look towards this window, and here's Beulah plastered in the window. And he goes, ah! You know, and it scares him. He takes a falls out of his own hammock, looks up and realizes what it really was. Because at the first look, it was just a horrible thing in his window, you know. Looks up, and we've got here fiddle faddle, but we're looking for, if anybody can come up with, a really good catchphrase that Mud says all the time, like, you know, Jiminy Christmas, fiddle faddle, or by jingers and tarnation, stuff like that. So he's getting up and he's walking away. So he surveys the situation. He's got her in the window and her down there. So the last resort is he goes up to his last hideaway, which is up in the smokestack of the house. This is kind of like his hideaway. And she's still yelling, saying, are you listening to me? You know, and he goes up there, slams that hatch, and listens to figure. He's very happy with that. He can barely hear her. He walks over to the window, looks down. Beulah can't get up here. It's good. This is perfect. He's very happy. He starts to walk away from the window. And then he looks around and he sees Belvedere fly by. He goes, to their annoyance. Then all of a sudden he sees Huck go whoosh, by again. Curse, splash out there. He's doing it again. He gets this disgusted look on his face, walks over, opens the door, and goes, okay, I'll talk to him. You know. She goes, oh, good. And she's all excited. Then we just do a few shots of him working his way down to her. She goes, this is the perfect timing, too. This is great. Everything's going to be great. You know, she's so happy about the whole thing. Then she's saying, you made such a wise decision and all. He's heading back to his easy chair there and says, now, what are you going to say? And he's going, well, she goes, how are you going to tell it? You know,
Jim,
excuse me. Yeah.
Can you pull that board in front of this?
All right. Thank you. Okay. She's basically not letting him get in a word in edgewise. She's going, how are you going to tell him? He goes, well, what are you going to say? Have you thought about it? He's going, let me speak. So she's saying, what are you going to tell him? Blah, 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 you know. And she says, how will you tell him? Beulah pops in the window and goes, when he's not there. And he goes, when he's not there. And then he stops. She goes, now why would I do a full thing like that? And she turns to her and goes, will you be quiet? No. Now, what are you going to say? Have you thought about it? Well, think about it. This is going to be very important. It's not going to be easy, you know. He goes, I know that. I don't even want to do it. And then Beulah says, then don't. She says, I love that boy more than you ever know. Missy says, I love him enough to let him be what he's supposed to be. Beulah looks at her and goes, a possum. He goes, that cut it, you know, and he heads for the cellar door. She goes, Mud. She turns to Beulah and goes, you're no help at all. She laughs. She's accomplished her mission. She goes, where are you going? And he's like to go down in the cellar. She says, we haven't decided what you're going to say yet. He goes, yes, you have. And he heads on down this cellar tunnel. She says, where are you going? He says, where it's safe. Safe? Safe from what? He looks at her and goes, you know, opens the door of it looks just like a storage room, basically. There's trunks and all kinds of junk in there. He opens this one trunk and slams the door. And she figures, well, this is great. He's locking that trunk, you know. She says, well, that's perfect. You'll just stay right there and listen. She pulls up a chair. Basically, she goes into a reprise of the song.
Good.
Then we see from the other angle, this is a secret getaway. He opens the back of the trunk. He's got a little pond here underground, and he can barely hear her, and he just jumps into the water. And we go to an outside shot with Beulah going from window to window, doing her part, Missy doing her part, all in the distance. You can think, what are you going to do about Huck, my friend? She's doing her thing, and then he comes popping up just in time to do his section of the song, and he sort of floats out of the, and you might hear a little bit of a as he goes out of the scene. So that's basically it.
Good sequence.
It's a long sequence, as I say. They're really not spaced out correctly.
All right, I think we're gonna have a question on the size of the house.
Yeah.
Because what is the Mud's house? Is it a pilot cabin from a steamboat that he has salvaged?
But it doesn't
Or-
have to be the complete
Or
cabin.
is it reformed so the doors, everything is scaled to him?
The door, I'd say like his door is scaled to him because he did that. He can do that stuff himself. But the shape of the house, I would say like it was cut in half. Like the bottom half of it was gone, and so it brings it down to his size. You know, so we've got to show that he fits in there perfectly. Missy fits in there fine, but no way is this standing up alligator going to get in there.
Yeah, but he's made a 3-story house out of the part of the pilot house that he has salvaged.
Well, that's
Shape.
the pilot house itself is the bottom
Yeah.
section, and also there's a dugout section. The up in the room is a room that he's added on that's more up in the tree, and then his real hideaway is up in the smokestack. that he's
And
put
there's a
up.
window in the smokestack?
Yeah, he cut one.
Ah, okay. Yeah, all right.
It's easy when you draw. You guys know that.
You know, it's a little hard because of the pilot house has all windows up above. So if
Yeah.
the thing is cut in half,
But basically-
down to the windows.
No. Well, whatever you need to cut it down to, get it down to his scale. And we're just putting windows basically he's just taken the front decoration of maybe you've seen the top part of it, the front decoration of the wheelhouse, and as much of those front windows as he needs, and then, you know, the sides are just maybe boards he put up for himself. Or the backgrounds that I've seen and like Tom Shannon's drawings depict it pretty much the
I
way it
had
could be.
taken it to be in front of a tree, and maybe the rest of the tree going down was the cellar and all that. into
Yeah,
the
but then
tree.
there's another level below that.
Yeah, but
It's
what
all
I'm
built-
saying
it's all
is that
built
this
into the
thing is
tree.
like
Built
on
into
the
a
front
hollow
of
of
the
the
tree.
tree.
Yeah,
it goes
there's a
down
mammoth
the
tree
Yeah.
and all this.
Have you seen the backgrounds?
Yes, but the house in the background is a human-sized pilot house.
Yeah.
See?
Well,
Which means that they're very small and the pilot's very big. Now we've got reversed. Now we got them human-sized almost.
no.
You know, they're not human-sized. I mean, it's like in proportion to the
Yeah,
building.
yeah. The whatever we have
It's
to do,
him.
whatever we have to do to cut it down to make it
Yeah.
make us see that he's used
Yeah.
part of a wheelhouse to get the
Okay,
same
so it's
effect.
basically something he has built.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
so
used
it-
parts and pieces,
Yeah.
but he put
Okay.
it together.
Right, got it. Got
So
it.
if it looks a little bit like part of a wheelhouse, okay, and part like he's built, fine.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Basically, we just want to show that, yes, maybe there's plenty of room once you got in there or something, but for door size and window size, there's no way Beulah can communicate it. The song, what happened was
I have a tape of the song.
right, but it's been changed.
That's all been changed.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing that's been changed is there's been additional, there's a reprise at the end, and there's a new verse added in for Mud to sing.
But it's
Yeah,
basically
Mud
the
has
same
it. Yeah,
song.
basically it's
Yeah,
the
which
same
is a
song.
good song, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And adding the reprise at the end is just, yeah, very
Yeah.
necessary, yeah.
Dennis actually helped us out and wrote the lines for Mud because it was decided that it just felt better to have Mud
Yeah,
do his
if
bit.
you've all, I don't know if you've all heard the tape or not, it's a good song,
No.
but it's, the bottom keeps falling out of it, so as soon as I heard it, I thought it, you know, it'd be nice if there were a third part in there for Mud to sing. Also, he had been designated originally, I guess, as a non-singing character, and then it had been decided somewhere down the line that it would be nice if he did sing, but no one had come up really with anything for him to do. So this will get him started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It goes back and forth, but as long as a person can carry a tune, he could do this.
Oh yeah, it's a real simple. It's slow. It's written in
Well, it's
half
basically a
notes versus the
talk
other
piece.
character's quarter notes. It suits his age, and it's a very small range song, so that whoever does it, even if it's not whoever the actor is that takes the role, it's not going to be that difficult to do.
We don't have it with us. We're because of the
Can you
changes
read that
we're
tape
doing in
with
this.
us?
No, we haven't.
What was it?
You have that tape, but because of the changes in it, we're going to have to re-record some of it and bring it down.
Monday, Jerry.
But remind me and I'll play the tape for anybody who's interested, yeah. Everybody.
Yeah. Very good. It's a nice section.
Yeah, sure is.
The whole objective of this was to get to know these characters and the situation. Dennis and I just completed the next sequence, which we're calling 5A, because it was not in the original scenario, which is basically a talk between Mud and Huck. because this basically has gotten him to where he's thinking maybe I ought to talk with him, you know. And he starts to have the talk, and basically it's maybe like some father-son conversations where it didn't go the way Mud thought it was going to go, and he didn't get the subject really up at all. Just got into a bunch of, at one point they get into fun and games, they laugh, and they have a tickle section and everything.
It's also, the 5A section is designed to give Mud a little bit more of a sympathetic character rather than being kind of so stern all the way through. And it also gives Huck a chance to be just a kid. I mean, an absolute, you know, and a completely naive and innocent, and everything that Mud's trying to present to him, Huck is turning around in his own mind into something totally different. So, and he also has an opportunity to some fun, silly stuff. Huck ends up in that particular scene imitating the 4 characters that we've met in this first scene, and does perfect imitations of them right down the line, so that
it's basically, the purpose of it is to get what is their relationship like,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
what's going on
Right.
between these
That's
two.
good.
You know, how do they talk together? Yeah.
I was wondering, are you gonna continue on with more boards with Huck reacting to these animals?
Yeah.
I mean, more of it, yeah, because I think that so far it looks good. I mean, I like the stuff that's going on between the animals and everything, even though they are talking about Huck. Right now, I don't feel as though Huck's character has really been built in.
That's nice.
That's 5A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
5A and the
the-
next and 6 too.
Mhm.
That's where we get to really know him.
Yeah, because you gotta.
This
Oh, we don't know
primarily,
anything about
this is
Huck.
exposition of the immediate influences in his life. So that by getting to know Beulah, Missy, and Mud, you get to know a little bit about Huck's upbringing, the way, you know, you get to know 3 distinct personalities that have obviously had a major influence in his life. The next scene then introduces Huck actually as a full-fledged human being into the film. All you've seen of him so far is growing up, the growing up sequences during the titles, and this thing where he runs in and obviously has a very close rapport with these characters. He dashes off again, and then you get to know his upbringing, what the situation is as it stands. From that point on in the film, then it's Huck's film.
Yeah, it becomes Huck. But now we know where these people are, what the situation is, how they
And their
react,
relationship to
the
Huck.
relationship.
I really like him imitating them because these are the only people that know.
It's a real cute sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you remember in like Robin Hood, there was a point where Maid Marian's Lady in Waiting did an imitation. I didn't like the movie myself, but I know that when I saw it, the kids in the audience were cracking up when she started imitating him. You know, it was a character that they knew in the film, and then they saw a good imitation of it. You know, and it clicked for them. You know, maybe it was the first time the kids really understood an impersonation. You know, so we started laughing about it when we were writing it, just thinking this
I
kid.
mean, the idea of
he
a
can
9-year-old
imitate these
boy
characters perfectly.
imitating this alligator who is, it worked well.
And then it really blows Mud when he starts imitating Mud. That freaks him out. He's not going to stand for that, you know. That's when he splits, you know. But also, it once again reaffirms there's a problem here. This kid, you know.
Really doesn't know who you are.
No.
It's got a cute gist to it. Yeah, get some good animation, get some good character animation going. This could be really good.
Okay, I can.
Is that it?
You've done it, Jim.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, very good.
Nicely done.
One cue. Bring it.
We tried to lay, we tried to change the music.
Yeah.